Okay.
Welcome, 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 everyone, to the Women's Empower Network. I am so excited to have Kathleen with us today. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's very nice to be here.
I know we were having such a lovely conversation, and finally it's like, oh, we need to go live. We need to share all this juicy stuff with the women in the group. So, how I
Right.
like to always start it off is if you would tell us a little bit about your story and journey that led you to what you're passionate about today.
Sure. Well, 46 years ago, I gave birth, and shortly after, I got meningitis and had my first near-death experience. And from even before that, my mother took me to meditation classes because of her 7 children. I was different. I wasn't an athlete. I was an artist. So instead of taking me to a ball game, she took me to meditation, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And then I started, and then I was allergic to every antibiotic the doctors had ever given me. And I went through all kinds of meningitis, mono, you name it. I studied herbs from the time I was 14. So they became very important to me, integral to my health. But it was when I got Lyme disease that I finally said to an acupuncturist who was trying to help me not feel like cement 3 days a week, I said to him, this is not just physical, this is spiritual. And he went, huh. And he put the needles in the Shen points, which are spiritual points, and I got better. And I said, this is what we have to deal with. And so we went right to work on the work of the shaman. He had only 4 months of training. I've had 7 years of training and 30 years of experience now. But his 4 months got me through the beginning stages of healing miraculously from Lyme disease. Each journey I had, I got better. I couldn't climb a flight of stairs with Lyme disease. It was so crippling. I believe it gave me arthritis right away. I think that that's what this crazy virus does. So I wrote a cookbook, Healthy is Delicious, to keep people away from foods that help add to arthritis. And, you know, I can still run after my 4-year-old granddaughter, and you know, I'm in the same weight I was at 20. I can wear the same clothes. Some of my clothes are that old because I love them. You know, you keep the good clothes. They were made so well back in the day, right? So there's a few, you know, things you want to keep. And I always went to thrift shops in New York and bought the antique clothes because they were just so beautiful. So I've maintained my health through my work as a shaman. I trained with Michael Harner, Sandra Ingerman, you name it. I went to South America and Egypt, and amazing healing of a herniated disc in Egypt. And that is when I started bringing past life therapy into the mix. Now, I don't know if you know about soul retrieval. Soul retrieval is bringing back energy lost to times of trauma. So, you know, after a surgery, after a trauma, after an accident, after loss, so many things can happen that make you feel like you're not quite all there. You can't remember what you're doing. Why did I drive to the street? You know, things like this happen. Not able to really put 100% into your work anymore. Maybe you haven't trusted what you can create in life. Maybe you haven't drawn the right partner in. You're too shy. All of these things that can hold us back can be often related to traumas, big or small. And when I say traumas, it can be somebody in your childhood that made you feel like you couldn't join in. Something happened at the time of your birth that you could never remember consciously, but your subconscious remembers. So what we're doing is we're healing the subconscious, the spirit. The subconscious has billions of bits of information. Science puts a number on everything. So they say it has 4 billion bits of information. It's infinite. But we're going into a state that helps us drag this information a little bit at a time, whatever you can handle at a time, into your consciousness so that you can be empowered by your truth, so that you can understand what your gifts are. Prior to soul retrieval, I didn't know that I could actually put a song together, but I have after soul retrieval. Prior to soul retrieval, I wouldn't have said I could write a book, but I did already write one, and I'm 22 chapters into my second book. Wow. So it gives you back, it gives you back so much that you never knew you had, including it's a courage. I don't know, fearlessness. Some people have called me fearless. That's okay. It's a courage that maybe you didn't have before, because now you know you are not alone. You are never alone. You might live alone, but everything that exists has spirit. The animals that come into your yard, the birds that chirp in the morning. When I had Lyme disease and I left Long Island, where I got it, come back to New York City, I hadn't yet healed. I hadn't gone to New Hope and found the acupuncturist I would say those magic words to. So I was in the city, unable to sleep for 21 days and nights. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, maybe this was my second near-death experience, but it was also quite awakening. I did go into the light again, but I also came back at the sound of a bird singing. The sound of a bird singing. My whole body relaxed. Everything changed. So I don't care what the temperature is. My window is open for the morning song of the bird because I have to hear them. And I also really need to hear the crickets at night. So if the crickets are singing, I am listening to you because you also relax my whole body. A lot of people come to me and say, I can't sleep at night. Well, different hours of the night relate to different organs. I used to wake up for months at 3 a.m. every morning. In fact, I start my book on that note. And I would be falling over a cliff of red rock, but I didn't die. I woke up and the smell of cigarette smoke was in the air. I never smoked, but my ex-husband did and my father did. 30 years after I had that dream, I got lung cancer from radon, the red rock in Pennsylvania, and from vinyl chloride with the fake wood floors. I cleaned it up. And 7 months later, I got lung cancer, which I survived. I know 6 people in the last 2 years who died of it. They didn't do the work I do. They didn't trust or believe. Sometimes when people get sick, meningitis, cancers, Lyme disease, they feel, even dementia, they feel, oh, my life is over. They get scared. Their life is over. They don't know what to do. This is when you shouldn't get scared. This is when you look for your spirit for help. So when the doctor said cancer, I didn't get scared. I got busy. Everything that went into my mouth, I looked up. Does this go okay with this cancer? Nope. Okay, out the door. Everything I ate, anything I put in my mouth, I checked. And I got through it.
Wow, that's beautiful.
And my spirit guides, as you do the journey work that I do, that I help people with, you really know that you're not alone. Aside from the birds and the crickets, you get what I call a power animal. Native Americans are native of every country. It's in the history of every culture, have called it animal spirit guide or power animal because it empowers you. So when you connect with that spirit, see through its eyes, you're really connecting with your spirit. Your spirit is sound and light. If you've had a near-death experience, you know that. There's a beautiful pitch of sound and an amazing light. Doesn't hurt your eyes because you don't have these eyes.
Right.
And there's no peripheral vision, right? It's all straight ahead. It's all straightforward. And so I went straight forward all the time in my life until I realized I need to go heal the past. And then I realized with soul retrieval, when you heal the past, you can get upset about the person who was involved in being the catalyst for change. And I thought, no, we don't want to get mad at anybody because that's negative. We don't want to go there. Let's find out the soul's history. There's a reason for choices and also the permission to make new ones when we add past life therapy. So sure enough, that changed everything. Nobody got mad at people who were catalysts for change, that may have been partaking in the trauma. They were there because your spirit was connected and you were reliving something that your spirits knew of in the past. It was familiar. But we can change our familiars.
Interesting.
And that makes all the difference. Yeah.
So
when we change our familiars, anything is possible.
I like the way you say that. I remember a few years ago talking to a psychologist, and I was asking, why is it if a woman can walk into a room with 100 men, and let's say her father was an alcoholic, and there's only one alcoholic in the room, that would be the one she's drawn to, and because it's familiar.
It's familiar. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Over 30 years, I can't tell you how many times people say they married their mother, they married their father. Of course you did. You're trying to figure them out. You're trying to figure out the relationship. So you would also marry your familiar. This is your primary relationship. Yeah.
But what I hear you saying and what I like about where this is going is that you can shift that familiar.
Yes.
You can heal it.
Yes. Yes. You can understand why you would call it in, understand the choices you made in the past, understand how you can make a different choice in the present. It's almost what I would call a dress rehearsal for the future. I was an actress before. I completely gave up acting and filmmaking. I went to NYU when this came to my life. I gave up a really comfy life and said, you know what? I've got to go give this to the world. And I left my comfy life and I went out to give it to the world. I went to
beautiful.
Colorado. I went to San Diego. I went to San Francisco. I used to fly between 3 offices in California. Thank God for California. I just love it there. I used to fly between San Francisco, LA, and San Diego to see clients every 3 days.
Wow.
Every 3 days.
That's a busy day.
I'm on a mission. There's sometimes I couldn't even make it to bed. I just collapsed on the floor and slept. That's how busy I was. Now, thankfully, people are accepting that I can work on the phone with them. It's a whole new world, being able to work on the phone, on Skype, so I can have clients in Australia, in the UK, all over the world, and we don't have to get on a plane.
Well, it's so wonderful too that we, as collectively, we all understanding that we're energy, and that we don't have to be in the physical presence like radio waves, that we can connect with each other.
Well, and also you don't have to drive after you've had this amazing out-of-body experience and you're in this bliss, and because you want to be grounded before you drive, which I make people do. I say you've got to go and sit on the earth now before you drive away and connect your tailbone like a tree's root system and just see yourself grounded and feel yourself grounded. And that's one of the things. Now, remember, I'm the only artist in the family, and my brothers are all athletes and all of that, businessmen. And I said to my brother, you know, I read a book lately, Jean Shindola, who said women use 8 parts of their brain to communicate, and men only use 1 or 2. And he said, oh, I know that. He said, you girls are spinning, spinning, spinning with all your ideas. How do you like that? How do you like that? I said, well, good for you that you understand that. But, you know, spinning, we have a lot of, you know, suggestions, a lot of ideas, which I think is formidable and creative. And we need to be recognized for that.
I think we operate on multiple dimensions all at once. That's just part
Yes.
of our natural way of being. Um, yeah, and trying to explain that to a man, you know, for a simple example, is I had a yard sale. So to a man, oh, you're just getting rid of old stuff. To me, I was energetically getting rid of old things that had physical energy in them that didn't serve me anymore.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
so here I am, I'm cleaning out physically, energetically, emotionally, you know, and that's how I'm thinking about it. But to a man, it's like, oh, you're just having a yard sale. You're just getting rid of stuff.
Well, and that's okay for them. And old
Right.
stuff means old energy, you know, unless it's your favorite dress from, you know, the
Right.
1980s.
Well, I say if you're not in love with it, then I say goodbye to
Let
it.
it go.
Let it
Let it
go.
go. Yes.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. But yeah, that's
Well,
true. That's funny. And if you have that favorite outfit, and we were talking earlier before we came on live about the quality of things made 40, 50
yeah,
years ago compared to today. Um,
I
and two, if you
know.
wait long enough, the style comes back.
It does. It really does. It's just amazing. You know, I'm wearing bell bottoms right now.
That's exactly what I was thinking. And it's really funny because the young
Yeah,
people think it's, you know, it's all like brand new, you know, and I just
right,
smile.
right.
Or
Yeah.
that's like a remake of
Watch
an
it. Yeah.
old song. You know, my sons are constantly like, oh, this is such a good song. I says, oh, you want to hear the original? You know?
That's great. That's great. It's so wonderful to help kids can learn about the past and all. We had great music in the past. I think even before my time, the 60s was just beautiful. And what I see with the music, and I lived right near Lincoln Center, so I went to the opera. I knew Placido Domingo, and I'm a singer, you know, and that singing is since my soul retrieval. Another
Interesting.
thing that came to me. And I can sing opera since my soul retrieval. So I used to do that, but my siblings grew up in the 60s with that beautiful, calm, happy music. It wasn't music that was angry. It wasn't music that was harsh. It was happy music. It was romantic music. It was fun music. And that's what I like hearing now.
Right.
I don't want to hear this banging, screaming, noisy stuff, electronic. I also don't, you know, I went to film school in the late 80s, early 90s, and everyone was turning to video. And they said, you got to learn about video, Kathleen, because you're going to miss out. I said, this girl will never use video. I like film. And I'll tell you what, you watch something that's made recently, there's no good, the lighting is awful, there's no depth, the story's, but if you watch something from the early 2000s, the 90s, the 50s, the 60s, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It has depth. It doesn't, again, like the music, it doesn't race through the story. It doesn't have to bombard you and overload you. So it's really nice to bring that to people again, to our children, to our grandchildren. I had the kids watching The Little Rascals, my 7 and 4-year-old grandchildren. They loved The Little Rascals. Yeah, black and
That's
white.
hilarious.
Isn't that great?
That's it is. It is. Well, for the sake
Yeah.
of time, if somebody
Oh,
is resonating with your message and your services and what you do, if they want to work with you, how can they connect with you?
well, simply go to my website, corelevelhealing.net or corelevelhealing@gmail.com. And my phone number is on my website. I don't know do you give out phone numbers on this podcast?
Well, we'll put it down in the comments. Um,
Okay. Okay.
so people
So
know how
that
to
would be
reach
great
out.
because,
Yeah.
yes, because like I said, I work with people all over the world by phone, by Skype. There's FaceTime if you want to see me, but you're going to be closing your eyes. You're going to go into the most relaxing, deeply relaxing, healing space because that's where we go. We go beyond meditation. We go into, and it's wonderful, the most healing, relaxing place with the journey work.
That's beautiful. Well, before we go today, is there any parting words of wisdom that you would like to share with us?
Yes, connect to nature, be present in the moment, and celebrate yourself. And that is something we do with soul retrieval. I always tell people this is like having another birthday. You're getting back energy you haven't had 100% of the time from the womb. So give yourself that celebratory, I'm alive, I'm connected to everything that exists, everything has spirit, and I can do this. If you're facing a physical or emotional trauma, you can do this. And I'm here to help.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you, Kathleen, so much for being with us today.
Well, thank you for having me, Jenny. I'm so glad the technology worked.